Hello, a man in maroon here. This is going to be a little bit different to my usual sort of videos. I know you're used to seeing the podcast. Just going to make a quick response to this because a mate of mine sent me this and I made my head explode. It really angered me with some of the blatant misinformation inside of this. So it's called Why Are You Angry? Part 4, an autopsy on the Gamergate. So, without further ado, let's get this underway. I'm just gonna play a little bit, pause it, the usual stuff. Let's see what we got in this this goodie bag of treats. So we have a trigger warning to start off with. That's good. Anyone watching, if you get triggered by this sort of stuff, keep that in mind. Let's get this show on the road.
The question of what was Gamergate even?
Okay, from the very start, what was Gamergate? Well, no. Should be what is Gamergate. Gamergate is still going on. You go on Twitter, you're going to see tweets still going into that hashtag, dude. Like, people still talking about this stuff. Gamergate isn't over. It's still going. It's still there, dude. We are still here. We're not dead.
Is typically phrased as, was Gamergate a movement to demand ethical reform in games journalism, or an anti-feminist hate mob using ethics in games journalism as a smokescreen?
I'm pretty happy with that being the question. I mean, obviously, I feel it's a movement towards ethical discussions, towards games journalism. I mean, specifically, Gamergate has 3 parts to it as far as I can see. One part deals with ethics within games journalism and ethical violations. The second part deals with censorship of ideas. Of certain people, of certain thoughts, either conservative or liberal, whatever, it doesn't matter. Those people being censored. We are against censorship. We are very much into pro-speech. So that's the second part. And the third part is going against ideologues. And what I mean by ideologues is people with a specific ideological bias and trying to inject that into what is ostensibly other people's media. You see quite often people going up to a games developer, for example, and saying, okay, well, it's an okay game, but we'll score it shit if you don't put a woman in it. And then you, of course, lead to token characters, which don't help at all. They simply perpetuate stereotypes and don't actually help diversity. That being one example of an ideologue. Another example would be the religious ideologues that attack gaming for being satanic, or the concerned ideologues that attack games for causing violence. People like Jack Thompson, for example, is a good example of an ideologue, and the problems that can occur when ideologues take their ideology that is normally not based in fact and apply them to things like gaming, or things like TV shows, or things like comic books, or regular books. Ideologues usually just end up harming whatever media they're criticizing. Now, I'm not saying that there's something cannot be learnt from ideologues. Definitely, we should listen, but we shouldn't accept them and accept what they're saying blindly. And those are the 3 parts of Gamergate. So, is it about harassment? Is it about ethics? Well, it's more about ethics than harassment. I can tell you that for a fact. But yeah, let's keep going. Let's see what else let's see what other questions you have.
But even that is framing the question in Gamergate's terms. For the people who...
I just want to bring back, what do you mean by framing it in Gamergate's terms? Does that mean we asked the question? No. If it was Gamergate's terms, it would be about ethics in games journalism, and then that would be it. We wouldn't be talking about the harassment at all. Anyway, let's keep going. Oh, whoops.
Who knew what Gamergate was but did not participate in it what Gamergate referred to as anti-Gamergate, but was really just the entire rest of the world.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I'm saying that because there were also neutrals, people who did not take a side in the conflict whatsoever. I've met quite a lot of them. Lovely bunch of people. Well, at least the ones I've interacted with. When it comes to saying that it is Gamergate versus the rest of the world, that's very misleading as a statement. And I just want to say, for future reference, that is extraordinarily misleading. Because you could very easily exchange those phrases for anything, really. Feminists versus the rest of the world. And it would still be grammatically correct. Yes, it was Gamergate versus the rest of the world, either trying to show neutrals exactly what was going on and exactly why this was an issue, or showing anti-Gamergate what's wrong with their thought processes and what's wrong with the logics that they use, the fallacies that they use, and showing them why this is an issue and why we're so passionate about it. Yeah, it kind of was, but you're making it seem like Gamergate was such a small thing. It wasn't, and it isn't. We are still very much a large group of people. We have not shrunk in that time. We are getting more organised. Look at some of the communities that have sprung out of Gamergate that are extremely organised and do fight for ethics. I mean, it's just very misleading, and I would suggest you don't make those sort of statements in the future. But we'll see a couple more of them as this video goes on, one of which really did annoy me. And I'll point them out for you, just so you can avoid them in the future.
The question was Gamergate openly misogynist, or a bunch of frustrated gamers misdirecting their anger? And
some people who tried to use Gamergate as a shield were openly misogynist. Yeah, I'll agree with that. But I'm just going to throw up this really quick. This is what happens when someone, here we go, harasses Brianna Woos, and here's our response. Just going to let that continue to be filmed. Yeah, those are all Gamergate accounts, some of which I recognise. Yeah, everyone's reporting it. Yeah, still going. Still people reporting him for harassment. And there's the nice little end message for that clip. Yes, there were harassers involved in Gamergate, and I dare say there still are. But they are the minority, and whenever people see it, they call it out. Now, I'm also going to bring up harassment. I'm going to stick to the topic of harassment, because this is a message that was sent to a Gamergater. Okay? This is someone doxing a Gamergater. I'm obviously not going to give names of either of the people involved, because I don't want to go after them in any sort of way. But this is someone who was getting doxed due to Gamergate. This was not a one-sided conflict, and this is not a one-sided conflict. This continues to go on to this day. And to say it's one-sided is pretty bloody ridiculous. To say that only Gamergate has been the ones doing the harassment is ridiculous. The difference between both sides is the reaction to it. Anti-Gamergate. Look at this. I'm going to bring this tweet up again, actually. Now, if you look up this tweet by one Geordie Tate, or a variety of other things Geordie Tate has said, look at the reaction it gets. Usually it's Gamergaters complaining. And I don't see any predominant anti-Gamergaters condemning that level of harassment. They only ever condemn it when it's supposedly Gamergate. And I say supposedly because a lot of the harassment that goes on it cannot be linked to Gamergate. It doesn't use the tag. The account doesn't use the tag. It's just someone being an asshole. And guess what? It's the internet. Some people are assholes. The trick is to ignore them and move on. But anyway, let's continue.
That was really a question of proportion. Put another way, to what extent did Gamergate know it was an anti-feminist hate mob?
Now, I want to fucking... This statement nearly gave me a brain aneurysm, because I used to do a lot of interviews. I used to interview a lot of people. I used to interview people on the radio. And as a question, you do not frame a question like that. It goes against anything. Because if you ask that to somebody who has not been proven to have done whatever crime you're claiming they have done, it's a leading question. Let's flip it around. Let's see if I can give you another example and show you exactly why this is a stupid question to ask. To what extent does feminism know it is an anti-man hate mob? There you go. I mean, it's a leading question. You can change it around, and it immediately sounds like feminism is a man-hating mob. I do not believe it is. I do believe there are people within feminism who use it to hate on men, and to be racist, and to be sexist. But I do not believe it is only that. Therefore, I would not ask that question. Gamergate isn't an anti-feminist hate mob. Some people within Gamergate use it for anti-feminist stuff, but over the past couple of days, if you look at the Gamergate tag, you will see that even within Gamergate, there is conflict about what Gamergate should be focusing on. Whether it's the ideologues, which at this point happen to be feminists, yes, or the ethical journalists. And by the way, when I say ideologues happening to be feminists, yes, right now they do happen to be feminists. And you know what? If the ideologues attacking Gamergate happen to be hard-going churchgoers, or if they happen to be just completely extremist, left-leaning or right-leaning or whatever, if ISIS, alright, there's an example of ideologues. If ISIS decided to attack gaming, Gamergate would happily point them out on their bullshit. Happily. And I say that with utmost faith. It doesn't matter who the ideologue is. All that matters is they are an ideologue and they're pushing their ideology into a medium where not everyone agrees with them. Okay? Okay. We are not even a minute in, okay? And I've already got 12 minutes recorded. Do you now see where your problems lie? You don't know what you're talking about, and it's obvious that you don't. But I'm going to keep going a little bit more. I don't think I'm going to do all this in one. I might split this up into multiple parts, but we'll see how it goes.
No one has numbers on Gamergate, in large part.
Yes, people do have numbers on Gamergate. There was a survey done recently. I don't actually have it handy, but I mean, if you want to talk to a Gamergate member, I'll happily have a chat with you, and I'll remember to bring it then. But no, we have numbers on Gamergate. We have nearly 1 million tweets. We have, if you talk about numbers of people within it, we have the hundreds of thousands donated to charities, donated to different causes. Now, I very much doubt that, this is what some people claim we're 300, 400 strong, maybe. I very much doubt that there's that little people in it with that amount of disposable income. Okay. And when you talk about anti-Gamergate being the rest of the world, yeah, well, what have they managed to fund? I mean, if they're truly passionate and they're truly anti-Gamergate and they truly believe Gamergate is a tool for harassment, what have they funded? Where's their dedication? If we truly were about harassment and they truly believed it, they would happily fund a documentary called #Gamer, for example, as being the latest one. They would happily fund that and they would happily get it made. But that's not happened. What has Gamergate funded in the meantime? It's funded a large section, although not all, of the Sarkeesian project. It's funded the Fine Young Capitalists. We've donated money to anti-suicide stuff, to anti-bullying stuff, to tuberculosis. We've donated to a shit ton of stuff and done some really good work. I very much doubt we're as small a group as you think. Also, we fucking donated to charity, dude. For a harassment hate group, we're doing a really bad job.
Because gators often congregated on anonymous forums that
Yeah, some people used 4chan and 8chan. I personally don't. I don't use it because I find it very hard to understand. I find it really hard to follow conversations on those sites. I usually use Twitter, gonna be honest with you here. And there's definitely a large presence on there. So as for the 4chan and 8chan, well, now just 8chan, section of Gamergate, yeah, I don't know that much about them, but I don't really care. And I don't care because what they produce, which I do end up seeing on Twitter, I agree with majority of the time. The times that I don't, it's usually niggling little things here and there, or it's something that has nothing to do with Gamergate at all. The separate topic that I disagree with them on.
disguised their numbers or created multiple fake Twitter accounts.
Okay, multiple fake Twitter accounts, yes, but so did Anti-Gamergate. Honestly, I've never seen a fake Gamergate account. The only other times I've seen someone call a Gamergate account out for being false, they've been demonstrably proven wrong in usually the next one or two tweets. If you can show me a couple of fake Twitter accounts that were brought down that were pro-Gamergate, like genuinely pro-Gamergate, not just some random troll harassing people, never using the tag and then getting suspended. If you can show me a Gamergate account that got suspended and or is still operating, in fact, that would be even better. If you could show me one, that would be fantastic. And if you could show me one, I'll happily call it out for the fake Twitter account that it is.
It seemed to shake out into two groups, one small and one large. The first group wasn't necessarily interested in journalistic integrity, but found it a useful cover when harassing women and minorities in the game space.
Citation needed. As many people are aware, Gamergate started through the Zoe post. The Zoe post being the blog post put up by one Aaron Joni with regards to his relationship with one Zoe Quinn. Now, the reason that that's important is because within the post, it details, well, it doesn't just detail, Zoe Quinn admits to sleeping with one Nathan Grayson, as well as a bunch of other journalists. Now, Nathan Grayson's interesting because he wrote about Depression Quest and about Zoe Quinn. Now, did he write a review? No. No one's saying he did. He didn't review the game. Kotaku didn't review the game. No one reviewed the game. But when Nathan Grayson was writing for Destructoid during the Game Jam fiasco, he immediately took Zoe Quinn's side in that argument. That, to me, is some bullshit, considering he had not disclosed the relationship at the time. Then, after that, he wrote about a bunch of new indie games arriving to Steam. That was, which is fine. Except he, for the banner picture, used a picture from Depression Quest. He then went on to talk very highly about the game in the article itself. Once again, did not disclose the relationship. And a lot of people go, well, they weren't going out at the time. Except they were. Stephen Totillo, his boss, actually has come out and said, yeah, they were dating. And Nathan Grayson didn't tell me that they were dating till I went after him and asked him. Okay? These people were dating. This is unethical. This is a conflict of interest. Okay? That was the issue. This first group that harassed the women's, yeah, these are boogeymen. These are trolls. These are people that Gamergate, as a majority of us anyway, condemn. Okay? Okay, let's move on.
And a useful way to network with others who did the same. This was the group that drove 3 women from their home.
Brianna Wu left her home for maybe 2 days, and she has done all the interviews since then within her home. Also, yeah, I dare say Anita Sarkeesian did get death threats, and I dare say, what was the third one? Like Alexander, maybe? I can't actually remember the third woman who was forced to leave her home. There was Brianna Wu, who left for a few days. It was Zoe Quinn. Oh, yeah, Zoe Quinn, of course. Forgot. This is how little I talk about Zoe Quinn. I forget exactly her name and whatnot during critical moments in the video. Zoe Quinn did leave her home, yeah, and I dare say she did get a lot of harassment, but none of that has been solidly tied to Gamergate as a movement, and whenever it does, like, I know one example in which it did. A Brazilian, I believe, journalist was writing a bunch of crap about Anita Sarkeesian. Gamergate found his name, and tried to report it to the authorities. I say tried because, well, the authorities can't take action on a harassment claim unless the victim is the one who comes forward with the claim. We can't make a harassment claim on Anita Sarkeesian's behalf. So we did what we could do. We gave the name and all the details to Anita Sarkeesian. She did nothing. She remained silent on it, and she blocked us. Yeah, yay. Wait, no, that's not how you're meant to react.
Doxed many others.
Oh, on the topic of doxing. There we go. I'm going to full screen that because you really need to see. Oh, actually, damn it, I can't actually do that. For some reason, my tech is messing up. Okay, here is the list. Whoops, I'm bad at technology. Bear with me, guys. Here's the list of pro Gamergaters who have been doxed. So we have Aaron Joney, Boogie, although Boogie's more of a neutral than pro. I call him a neutral. Personally, I wouldn't put him on this list. We have Adam Baldwin. We have Milo Yiannopoulos. We have Shoe on Head. We have Lizzie F. We have Peter No One. We have Sank. We have Devi Ever. We have Gigi plus Fem. We have Matthew Woodard. Also, not on this list, we have Sargon of Akkad. Also there was a hit piece written about specifically me and my friends from BuzzFeed, if we're going to talk about harassment. The Colour Cabal hit piece that BuzzFeed wrote, naming one of my friends as a white supremacist, when in fact I've personally seen him making fun of white supremacists. So we talk about harassment, sure, I'm happily talk about it. Here's the anti-Gamergate people who've been actually doxed. We have Anita Sarkeesian, Zoe Quinn, Phil Fish, and Brianna Wu, also not on that list because I don't believe her address was given out, but her phone number was. Okay? Very different sizes of lists, I'm sure you'll agree. Who is in more danger? Why aren't games sites covering this? This is the unethical practices. This is the problem with ideologies. Okay? You ignore the information that doesn't stick with your narrative. You ignore that information. And here it is, blatantly staring you in the face. Gamergate hit snow by sending SWAT teams. I've only seen one, quote-unquote, swatting happening to a member of anti-Gamergate, and that was to one, Randy Lee Harper. We asked her for proof of the swatting, a police record or something, a police report. They normally hand them out. She did actually post a police report. We then looked into it, and it turned out that it was a photoshopped picture of a speeding ticket. Now, if she had genuinely been swatted, why not just give the real information out? Unless she's attempting to use that to victimize herself to give Gamergate a bad rap. Now, why would she be doing that? Maybe it's part of an ideological war. There you go.
Send armed SWAT teams to the houses of their critics with false reports, and, well, we'll be here all day if I read the entire rap sheet.
Yes, because it is too hard to actually give evidence or proof of what's been going on, other than these news sites. These two specifically being Kotaku. Kotaku is one of the people actually being caught out in their unethical bullshit. I don't actually know where this last one's from, and I just don't recognise it off the fly, so I'm not going to comment on that one. But the top two, both from Kotaku, both these people have a stake in this conflict. You do realise that, right? Right? You do realise that. Like, if I was to go up to a judge and say, you know what, judge, I think you're acting unethically, that would be the same as that judge then pulling up his mother and saying, well, she likes me, so I can continue on with this court case. It's like, no. You're not getting impartiality, are you, mate? You have to have an impartial third proponent to these sorts of conflicts to give an objective opinion. The only problem is whenever that happens, look at what happened to Mark Kern. He was driven to Gamergate side by the amount of bullshit that was thrown at him, just because he wanted to talk to both sides and try and quell the conflict. Okay? Using Kotaku as evidence that Kotaku is not lying to you is bullshit, dude. Like, that's so dumb.
The second group, which by any estimation was much larger, is where we found our angry Jack.
Okay. Yes, let's learn about our angry Jack, shall we? Let's go. Let's do this.
Jack sincerely believed there was something wrong with games journalism and
was right, because Jack, Angry Jack, as you named him here, Jack read IRC chat logs. He read the Zoe post. He read the stuff that Gamergate linked to him whenever he asked about it. He had a look at the images. He had a look at what the other side was saying. He weighed them both up in his mind, and Jack decided that Gamergate seemed to have a lot more factual basis for their claims. That's what Jack did, okay? That's what Angry Jack is. He is angry because of the unethical bullshit that's going on in the games industry. Angry Jack is angry because shit like this happened. When Kotaku... it's actually a really bad resolution. Ugh. When Kotaku said all gamers are rapists and misogynists, and then Law and Order SVU ran an episode calling gamers rapers and misogynists, and then Kotaku complained about it, complained about the bullshit that they've been perpetuating. This is the reason why Jack is angry. Jack is angry because 10 articles on the same day were released saying that he was dead, he is over, he's a wailing hyper-consumer. That is why Jack is angry. That is why I am angry. Okay? You don't just attack a group of people and then get surprised when that group of people go, you know what? Fuck you. You don't get to yell shit at me and say that I'm a wailing hyper-consumer without any sort of consequence. Go fuck yourself. Yes, we are angry. Yes, 100% so. But just like feminists, true feminists, are angry about the mistreatment of women in the Middle East. It's justified anger. But anyway, let's continue.
Was sincerely angry about it, but he spent most of his time with Gamergate, instead of meaningfully discussing ethics, talking about how he wasn't part of the first group, about how he couldn't do anything about the first group, and about how unfair it was to dismiss everything he had to say about journalism because of the first group's action.
Yes. Yes, he did. And yes, I do. Yes, I do. I am Angry Jack. What a shock horror. Well, actually, Jack isn't my real name. Please don't dox me. Please, no bully. Yes, he did end up having to do that. A lot. And he did that because Jill kept calling him a misogynist whenever he tried to have a conversation about it. Jill kept saying that he's a racist and a transphobe because Jill continuously went on about the first group when the second group is actually saying, look, can we just talk about ethics? Can we talk about the ethical misconduct here and get that shit sorted so I can go home and play video games? But instead, Jill constantly went on about doxing, about harassment, about all this other bullshit that has nothing to do with journalism and ethics. It really doesn't. Okay? That is why Jack went on and on about it. And yes, it is unfair to Jack to treat him based on the actions of your supposed first group. Just like it would be unfair for me to say that all feminists are man-hating bigots. Because only some of them are man-hating bigots. Not all of them. You need to treat people on a person-by-person basis. Okay? You can't make prejudice claims about somebody. You can't go out of your way to claim that someone's a misogynist and then get surprised when they get pissed off and start defending themselves. So what do you expect them to say? Like, can we talk about journalism, ethics in games journalism? Well, you're a misogynist. What's the right response to that? Do you defend yourself, or do you just go, yes, I am? Now can we talk about ethics in games journalists? What do you expect us to do, man? I mean, genuine question. What do you want us to do? Because I don't see a way out.
Because he wasn't responsible for them.
No, you're not responsible for anyone's actions but your own.
But the first group was Gamergate. This
no. Okay, you know what? I'm going to call it here because it's half an hour long. I might do a second video on the rest of it. Honestly, this is goddamn tiring and ridiculous. I cannot believe the level of misinformation inside this video. If you want to watch it all, well, the title's up there, but I'll say it again. Why Are You So Angry? Part 4, An Autopsy on Gamergate. Go watch it yourself, have a look. I am done. I'm fucking done. This guy is so intellectually dishonest, it's ridiculous.